Spirited Away is this beautiful story about balance. Chihiro and her family end up trapped in the spirit world, and it's only through helping others that we see her gain the empathy and self-reliance needed to free herself and her parents. The movie serves as somewhat of a commentary of Japan post-World War II, a time when Japan embraced capitalism, embraced other quote-unquote Western ideologies. And with this, the country saw a rise in economic power, but also a shift in its cultural identity. This growth leading to drastic increase in abundance, a rapid growth in technology and industrial ability. And the movie goes out of its way to argue and highlight what this takes from us. And though the movie is very critical of this cultural shift, especially in regards to greed and overconsumption and environmental destruction, it acknowledges that it's the path forward. Chihiro's parents don't remember what happened in the spirit world, and after escaping, they continue their move. And in this way, the movie expresses hope of balance in the future, specifically in Chihiro, remembering her time in the spirit world and the lessons that came with it. So what is the purpose of the train scene in Spirited Away? The scene doesn't provide any information about the characters, about the plot, about the story we're being told, and from a world building perspective, it leaves us with more questions than answers. What is this train? Where are we going? Where are these ghost-like figures getting off to? There's no analytical information being presented in this scene. Instead, it's all emotional. It's these 2 minutes of reflection, 2 minutes of pulling back from the story, pulling back from our characters, the uneasy beauty of it all. And it's not even about connecting with Chihiro's emotional state. She's still as gung-ho and determined as ever. Instead, it serves as this time of reflection for the audience. It trusts that the audience won't get distracted. It doesn't need to keep our attention with action after action after action. Spirited Away isn't a boring movie. It's filled with brilliant action sequence and fantastical beauty, but it's this small moment that always sticks with me. The small moment when we don't have to see just through the eyes of the characters, but through the eyes of the world. Princess Mononoke is an exploration of humanity and nature. Sometimes I think it's easy to forget that humans are part of nature too. We aren't different, we aren't separate, we're made of nature, we're made from nature, just like everything around us. And the core conflict of this movie is driven by this misunderstanding, driven by this lack of communication between the natural and the human. The word Mononoke in Japanese stands for supernatural shape-shifting beings. It's meant to stand in for San. The only creature we see shapeshift throughout the course of the movie is the forest spirit, but in the figurative sense, San does as well, no longer viewing herself as a human, but as nature. It's interesting to me that San's raised by wolves, reminiscent of Romulus and Remus, the ones associated with the founding of Rome, one of the largest and most destructive cities throughout history. Now, the symbolism of wolves carries a lot of other meanings, especially in Japanese culture, but I think it's important to point it out in this story, because it's only after someone as open-minded as Ashitaka, an outsider, that we can see that nature and humanity don't have to be at war, that in actuality, they're one and the same. So what is the movie Spirited Away trying to tell us? To me at least, the story's core message is about balance. It's the story about a girl stuck between two worlds, both the real world and the spirit world, between childhood and adulthood, and between traditional Japanese culture and Western ideologies. After World War II, Japan was forced to embrace capitalism, and the country as a whole saw this rise in economic power. But it also marked a shift in its cultural identity. We see symbols throughout the movie of this, right? The pigs, the overabundance, the amusement park. But the movie argues and highlights what this system takes away from us, providing a critical eye of this cultural shift, especially in regards to greed and overconsumption and environmental destruction. In the end, it acknowledges that the path forward is somewhere in between, that even though her parents, the older generation, don't remember what happened in the spirit world, she does. She still has the hairband, a small piece of the spirit world to take with her, along with the lessons that we can hope lead to a better future.